Okay, students, so this video is going to contain the last 3 pages, pages 6 through 8 of Trino's Choice, Chapter 4, Slice of Life. Make sure that when you get to the end of page 6, you go ahead and pause this video and make your one annotation for something that you noticed about page 6 and something that you wonder. When you're ready to move on to page 7, go ahead and start playing it again, and then move on to pages 7 and 8. Let's go ahead and get started with page 6. Listen, I said that I'm taking Beto and Gus along. While we're gone, I want you to stay out of trouble, you hear me? We passed Epifanio's on our way home today, and he got beat up by some boys with knives and a pipe. You better stay away from there, you hear me? Her brown eyes nailed him good and hard. Did she know something? Slowly, he swiped his fingers through his black hair before he looked at her. I don't know anything about Epifanio. I got things to do today, Mom. I'll be back later. He hadn't planned to leave his house so early, but he didn't want her staring at him anymore. Trino barely heard his mother call, "Be back before dark," before the screen door slammed him again. Without thinking, his feet took him towards Rogelio's house, a few streets down. Most of the houses on Passmore Street were old ones, with white cement porches and iron columns holding up the roof. Some people, like Rogelio's grandmother, kept their homes clean and the paint fresh. Others lived in homes with no grass, just junk in the yard. Some parked 2 trucks in the driveway and another in the front yard, or left old sinks and stoves on the sidewalk. Ay, mijo, Rogelio just left. He went to the store for me. He had to walk to the big food mart since Epifanio's wasn't open today, Rogelio's grandmother told Trino. He tried Zipper's house too, but Zipper's mom said that he had gone out to help at the tire shop today. Trino thought about hanging out there, maybe earning a little tip money by helping Zipper's uncle change flats, but Trino didn't really feel like sweating over dirty tires today. Trino wandered around, breaking a stick up into pieces that he could chuck them at stray dogs or bounce them off the sidewalk and then kick them off the curb. His mind wandered too, thinking about old Mr. Epifanio, just bleeding on the floor of his store, thinking about the deadly fire in Rosca's eyes when he had seen Trino. And then he ran from Rosca and met that crazy book lady. He thought a little bit about Lisana and her friends. What were they doing now? Without realizing, he had walked almost to the back parking lot of the big grocery store. Go ahead and pause here, students. Write something that you notice, something that you wonder about page 6. He thought he might catch up with Rogelio going or coming. Now he had a place to get to and somebody to find. Since there was more shade, he cut behind the store, jumping over the plastic milk crates, thumping the stacks of flattened cardboard boxes that had been bundled with heavy plastic tape. He caught the ugly smells of rotting fruit, broken eggs, and spoiled meat. The tall black dumpsters against the brick wall were overflowing with the old food and trash from the store. Trino picked up the pace to get away from the dumpsters and shot around the corner to the store without looking. He ran smack into Rosca's shoulder. There was no time to stop, run, or hide. Wearing a blue t-shirt and sweat-soaked rag over his forehead, Rosca latched onto Trino like a trap. 2 hands squeezed tight into Trino's arms. It took everything Trino had inside him to give Rosca a stare that didn't break, even when Rosca snarled his name and shook Trino's body with one hard jerk. "Where you been, man? Been looking for you." Trino said nothing, didn't move, didn't blink. He tried to think. 2 other boys stood behind Rosca, but Trino didn't know them. All 3 of them weren't much taller than Trino. He might be able to fight them off if they didn't stab him first. Rosca had a small, rat-like face with tiny black eyes and a pointed nose. He put his face closer to Trino and said again, "Where you been? Who you been talking to?" "Nobody," Trino said the word very slowly. "I don't believe you, man. Nobody saw us but you. If they find you, they can come after me." "I'm not a squealer, Rosca," Trino said. Rosca pushed Trino back against the wall so fast that Trino's head slammed back and forwards. "How much can you take before you start squealing, man?" Weary fingers clamped tighter into Trino's arms. A hard knee shoved all the air out of his stomach. Trino exploded into a loud gasp and cough. Go ahead and stop right here, students. Make your annotations for pages 7. What do you see is happening here? What do you notice? What do you wonder? Yesterday's fear suddenly hardened into a wall of anger. Trino fought back with every part of him, using his legs with the swinging bat, twisting his arms and shoulders free. Rosca couldn't hold him without the help of the other 2 guys. The 3 of them pressed Trino back into the wall, but this time he struggled harder to get loose. "I'm not a squealer," Trino said again, even louder. "I don't care what you did, Rosca. I got no reason to turn you in." Rosca's little rat eyes started to get shiny. "So you're saying I don't gotta worry about you turning me in? Like I'm supposed to trust you? Just like that? Like you're my blood?" His dead rat breath filled Trino's nose just before Rosca's fist clubbed into the side of Trino's head. "Hey, take that place somewhere else," came a loud, angry voice. Trino barely caught a glimpse of the brown uniform and something silver catching the sun before he heard Rosca's words. "This isn't over, man. I know where you sleep." Then Rosca shoved Trino into the ground. The 3 boys took off, running back behind the building. Trino rubbed his head and heard footsteps. He looked over his shoulder, saw the uniformed man heading towards him. He pushed himself up to his feet, steadied himself against the wall for only a breath, before he took off running across the parking lot. Go ahead and stop here, students. Make your annotation for page 8. What do you notice? How did this chapter end? And what questions do you have about chapter 5 that's coming up next?